Right, good morning everybody. Really nice to see a nice full room. This is our second day, so hopefully I've improved slightly, or I may have peaked too early yesterday and it'll all be downhill today. So my name is David White, and very pleased to welcome you to this taster of the joys of Reed Learning. What we like to feel is that in a space of an hour I can give you an idea of the sort of things we can do on our courses, particularly in this case a creative thinking course. So I want to start with a question. Do we need to be creative? What do you think? Do we need to be creative? You get a few nods to the head. I mean, you wouldn't come in this room otherwise, would you? But if you think about it, the world's most successful modern organizations have proved that creativity is often more important than physical resources. It's not about how much money you've got. It's not about how much land you've got. It's not about how much raw materials you've got. If you think of companies like Apple or Google or Twitter or Netflix or Samsung, any of those, Facebook and so on, they are all really triumphs of creativity, having great ideas rather than huge amounts of material. So I'd like to think that whatever we do for a living, we need to be creative. Whether we're in finance, sales, human resources, office management, it really doesn't matter. So the trouble is, though, there's lots of barriers to us doing that, quite often our own thinking, and I'm going to check on that in a moment. So we're going to break through the barriers and look at some creative thinking tools that you might be able to use to help you. Now, we've only got 1 hour, so we're going to have to rattle along, but do feel free to interact. I will ask questions of you, but do ask questions of me. If you disagree with something strongly, just say the word, and I'll ignore you. So the objectives are that you'll know, hopefully, 3 key tools. We cover a lot of things on our courses, but just going to give you a taster of 3. Try them out in some little exercises. Don't worry, I'm not going to be asking you to do anything which is embarrassing or that you're going to have to give feedback on, but just please interact with me and hopefully believe in your abilities to be more creative. Now, a person who provides a little bit of inspiration for us on this is this gentleman, Albert Einstein. And while arguably one of the most intelligent people in the world, he actually said that imagination is more important than knowledge. So the creative thinking, being able to make that mental leap that meant he came up with things like the theory of relativity, which I still don't understand, absolutely vital. So on the one hand, we've got that, but on the other hand, what's it like in most organizations? Is it more like this cartoon? The boss is saying, you get back to that goddamn cubicle and start thinking outside the box. So we put you in a box, but we want you to think outside it. In fact, one person I spoke to misspoke that little cliche, thinking outside the box, and described it as thinking outside the boss, which I thought was about right, because quite often the moment you come up with a fresh idea, what do they say to you? Won't work, we've done it before, we haven't got the budget, and so on. So those barriers are everywhere. So I'd like to check on you, though, first of all. Put up your hands if you would say you are naturally creative. Hands up, the naturally creative people in the room here. Well, we've got a few hands ago, but we started with 1 at the back, and then I think a few others thought, well, maybe I can. Now, if on the other hand I'd said, are you a reasonable driver? Do you try to keep fit? Are you a friendly and helpful person? Most people put their hands up. But we do have a problem with creativity, and quite often it's because we associate it with things like art and music. And we think, well, I wasn't very good at art, and I wasn't very good at music, so I'm not very creative. But in our environment here, what we're really talking about is just the ability to come up with fresh solutions, new ways of looking at things, new ideas to solve the practical problems of life, not to produce artwork, not to play a musical instrument, and so on.